It's time for DocTalk Radio, brought to you by Gilbert Hospital and Florence and Anthem Hospitals. I'm Dr. Ann Borik, board certified in internal medicine, and I'm here to keep you up to date on the latest information pertaining to your health and well-being. Welcome to DocTalk Radio, sponsored by Gilbert Hospital and Florence Hospital and Anthem. Today, Joe, we have two very, very fantastic people in the studio. You know, we've never had a show like this before. Gabby and Michelle are here, and I'm going to introduce them in a moment. But, you know, up until now, DocTalk Radio, we've really had other health professionals. You know, we've had physical therapists and cardiologists and kidney specialists and the CEO of the hospital and Dr. Johns. And today, we have actually two cancer survivors. And I'm convinced that this is going to be a fantastic show. The first part of the show is going to be with Gabby, and then the second part of the show we're going to have Michelle come up. So I'd like to introduce Gabby Bagby. Welcome, Gabby. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I just want to give our listeners a little bit of information about Gabby. She's a youth pastor. Is that right? At the church, the Mosaic Church of the Nazarene. And, you know, I don't want to say too much more. I want you really to introduce yourself and just give us a little bit of information about who you are and your journey, you know, your journey through this diagnosis. And just, I think it'll be great.
Okay. A little bit of background about myself. I am a youth pastor at Mosaic Church of the Nazarene. I am currently on track for ordination.
Really?
And yes,
nice.
I'm really excited about that. And we live in the Anthem community, and we are a big part of the community there. I have been married almost 12 years in July, and I have two kids. Isaac is 11, and Isabella is 7.
Beautiful.
And I'm originally from New York, and I moved out here when I was about 18, and I love Arizona, and I love Florence. I love the community, and you know, sometimes I joke and say it's like the Truman Show because you see everyone riding around in their golf carts and whatnot. But
that's funny.
Everyone knows everyone, but it's a great community to be a part of.
That's neat. And your husband works at the hospital.
Correct.
Yeah,
and
so
that was a
that's
huge blessing for us.
That's
yes.
It's great because it's literally right next door.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
That's awesome. I know that you spoke at the Del Webb Go Pink, and that's really how I came to hear about you. You know, I remember Andrea and Amy Jascourt, who does our marketing, said, you know, you got to meet this gal. Tell your story. Give us a little information about who you are, insight into your journey with breast cancer.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in a Catholic family, and I want to quote unquote Catholic family. And so when I was about 19 is the time when I really gave myself to the Lord.
Right.
And I am very thankful, especially going through cancer, to have had Him by my side, and still do. I was diagnosed when I was 31 in July of 2010, and immediately I was broken, but with His strength, I was able to continue to stand. I had found my lump in May of 2010, and I had all these plans for myself and what I was going to do, and with work and school and whatnot, but you know, that kind of stopped me in my tracks a little bit.
Right.
And so anyway, I was diagnosed, and I found a lump in my right breast, and I was just, you know, it's nothing, you know. I was just going to move on and see if it went away. And so 2 months later, it did not. We did not have insurance at the time, and so that played a big factor. But Corey actually worked for a doctor, and they would see our family for free. And so I went and got checked out and was referred for an ultrasound and mammogram, and I went through that, and my lump had some abnormalities to it.
Wow.
And so they did a biopsy, and you know, that again just broke me to pieces, because here I was 31 with no cancer history in my family.
Wow.
And so I didn't think that this was possible, and so they had told me that 70% of women my age with no cancer history, typically it comes back negative. But I just kind of knew, you know, it wasn't going away, and I just kind of knew where this was going a little bit.
Right.
They told me that it would take about 48 hours for the results, and so I got the results 24 hours later, exactly. And because the results went back to where my husband worked, they gave him the option to call me first and just let me know.
Wow.
And so I got a phone call from him, and he called me and told me that the result was positive. And so immediately I had friends and family from our church and just, my family at my house, taking care of my kids, buying groceries, cooking dinner, and I had meals for weeks on end.
Wow.
And, we were left alone when we needed to be to process everything, but from the moment I got that phone call to truly now, my community and my church family has been a big part of that process. And so I went to the doctors, and I tried to get in as early as possible because I needed answers right away of what my treatment plan was, because the thought of chemo just freaked me out a lot, and the thought of even losing my hair just put me over the edge.
Right.
So of course it took about a week to get in, and we did a lot of processing between my husband and I, and we were able to sit down with our kids and talk about everything there. And just be real upfront and honest with them, so they knew what to expect. I went to my breast surgeon, Dr. Linda Liu. She's in Scottsdale, and she spent 2 hours with me and my mom and my sister and one of my friends who's in charge of healthcare ministries at our church. And she went through everything from A to Z and gave me the option of a single mastectomy or a double. And so I had time to process that, but she waited until the very end to let me know that chemotherapy was going to happen. And that was very overwhelming for me. And then I met with my oncologist and Dr. Obenchain, and she's in Chandler, and she again spent probably about 2 hours with me, and I left there feeling really good. Which is surprising.
Then her job was done.
Her job was done, and she cried with me, and she asked me what my fears were, and she gave me a little tour of the chemo rooms, and which on my blog I call it the orange chair room, and
that's funny.
That's just it became my home for 2 years of doing chemo, and so when I left there I felt a little bit more at ease, knowing what I was going to endure. I always say that chemo, we look at the media and different movies and whatnot, and when we think chemotherapy, we think cancer. We automatically think death, and that's not necessarily true. I know that for some people that is. And so, but in my case, I was blessed, and, I went through 2 years of chemotherapy, and I'm not saying that every day was easy, but I'm through it.
But it wasn't as bad as you thought.
It wasn't as bad as I thought. I really thought that I would be healing over in my bed and vomiting and in complete pain. And I've had some of those moments, but I got through it. I remember after my second treatment, I said to my husband, call the oncologist because I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to go through. And I probably said that 2 or 3 times, but, he was my biggest cheerleader and just, you got 4 more to go, 3 more to go, I did Herceptin, which is, I know, a big word, but I did that for a year, but there was minimal side effects. And my hair was starting to grow back, so I felt good. I could work again, and so that wasn't as hard for me. And so it was hard, but I got through it. And, I found different ways. I journaled a lot.
That helped you. How did you feel? Was journaling something that was more therapeutic for you, I assume?
It was, because it was coming to the realization that I do feel this way, and not to pretend that I don't feel.
Exactly.
And so it did help me a lot. I hold on to a verse, Jeremiah 29:11, if I can just read that.
Absolutely.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And I had to remember that, God didn't give me this cancer, but he was going to do great things through this. And he really has. And I've had contact with different women that have gone through the same thing and have encouraged women, and they've encouraged me, and that we can go through it together. And, his name is glorified because of that. And so that's the verse that I hold on to.
That's huge. Just before the show we were talking, I want you to just share a little bit about what you told me about last night. One of the pastors or somebody shared with you.
Our worship pastor and I were talking about today and just talking about my journey. And he said, Gabby, when you look at cancer from the front, you are overwhelmed with worry and anxiety and fear. And then when you get through that storm and you look at it from the back end, you are amazed at how God really brought you through that and gave you the strength that you needed. And he was just encouraging me, telling me how he's really seen me grow.
That's awesome.
These, you know, and
I mean, that's got to make you feel great.
It really does, because, you know, I'm working full time now. I'm healthy. I'm exercising. I feel really good. And, you know, I think back, it's kind of a blur of just what I went through. I never thought that I would get through it, but here I am. And
that's awesome.
And I'm a survivor, really.
Yeah, you really are.
I am.
You know, Gabby, music. Did you embrace music? Did music, you know, do anything for you through? Some people, you know, just really, you know, embody music for healing. Tell me about that with you.
Well, I love music in general. I'm on the worship team
Are you
also
really?
at church.
Neat.
Yeah, and so worship music is, you know, it just touches my soul, and that's definitely something that has helped me. You know, there's times when I could just, you know, put my headphones in and just be with God and sing praises in a different way. So.
Wow, that's awesome. You know, foods. I mean, I don't know. Can you share a little bit about? Was there anything in particular that your doctors, you know, whether it be your surgeon or your oncologist, talked about in terms of foods?
Well, I remember my first treatment. I had a Starbucks coffee.
You did?
And I asked if that was okay if I had coffee on the day of treatment. And she just always encouraged me, you know, moderation. You know, eat healthy, do it in moderation. You know, kind of stay away from the unhealthy foods, I think, as any doctor would say. But I do have a sweet tooth, so.
Okay. So you didn't go, you know, crazy with, you know, avoiding all kinds of foods and so forth. I mean, you didn't really go the alternative route or the integrative medicine. You stood strict with conservative medical management.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I know. I watched what I ate as far as when I was on the first 2 chemo treatments, just because of the germs and whatnot. When I had low blood counts, but for the most part, I mean,
wow.
I, you know, healthy, but
exercise.
I don't go crazy.
Tell me about that.
You know, I thought that I was just going to start running, and that I can do this, and so I would get really exhausted, and my oncologist said, just settle down, you know, let's just finish treatment here. And so I did not exercise through. I did some yoga. I did some, you know, arm weights and whatnot just after the double mastectomy, just to kind of rebuild my strength up top. But for the most part, I kind of laid low.
And now, are you pretty much in an exercise program now?
I walk every day, and, you know, it's just my quiet time, and, you know, I get exercise with it too. So it's just healthy, and it just gives me the energy that I need for the day, and it's good.
Did you do anything like go to juices or not stop drinking soda, or do you drink soda?
I do. Not a lot. Not daily.
In a while.
No. I love Sprinkles cupcakes, and I ate them a lot, actually.
Did you really?
Yeah. So I really can't say that I backed off of that much stuff.
Wow. You know, I think that really the reason, Joe, that I wanted, you know, somebody like Gabby, and here we'll talk to Michelle here soon, on the show, is just to show that there's, you know, the hope in it. You know, some people, when they hear cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer, I mean, all the different, you know, when you hear that, or when someone is diagnosed with that, they don't see this end of it.
Right.
You know, and I just thought it was really, really great to have somebody that's been through it, that can speak to healing and health and prayer and all of the positive that comes with it.
Absolutely.
So, and if I'm too personal, please just let me know. But when you get diagnosed and decided what you were going to do with all this, and you said you had to choose between mastectomy or double or this or that, and you still do the chemo, do you still have to get that other stuff done too?
I did in my case because of the type of cancer that I had. The double mastectomy was my choice because when I had my MRI, they found another lump. It was about 6 centimeters away from the original lump. And when I went to my plastic surgeon, the amount of work that had to be done on the left side to even look like the right side, it just, I had to have an implant anyway. So for me, at 31, I wanted to, you know, be evened out, and I didn't want to be self-conscious.
Yeah.
And so I called my breast surgeon, and I told her that I was going to opt for the double mastectomy. She asked me to still think about it because that was a big decision, and I did. But I came back to her and said that's what I want to do.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the best news out of it is the lymph nodes were negative. Everything looked good. And but given your age, I think was really why chemo was recommended.
Right, and not knowing where it came from. Of
That's
course,
the other thing.
You know, your mind goes, what did I do wrong? And, you know, but
Did they give you any insight into that? Did you have the BRCA test done by any chance?
I did, and it came back negative.
It was negative. Okay.
Yeah.
What is chemotherapy? Is it
chemotherapy?
I mean, is it medicine or?
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's medication that's infused through the intravenously. Sometimes there's pills that are
for like a long time, for like hours during a day.
I had a port placed, and so because I had lymph nodes taken out on my right side, they didn't want to use my left.
So they don't have to keep sticking you every time. There's a port, which means that's where they stick it in.
Correct, in my case.
Yep.
Yes, and so the first 2 chemotherapies that I had, it was 6 to 7 hour treatments. It was an all-day event.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
but it was once every 3 weeks.
So how did you get through that? What did you do?
I brought friends with me for every treatment. My nurses at Four Winds were amazing. I met some great friends also. We were just sitting in the chairs for 6+ hours together and
Laughing and talking.
And just ministering to others and, just trying to make the best of that time while you were there.
Right. Wow.
But I never went alone. And that was one thing that I always said from the beginning, that I wouldn't go to chemo by myself. And so I kept that commitment. But, yeah, my friends would bring games, and we'd just hang out and food and make a day of it.
And just have a nice day of it. Wow. Yeah. That's neat. Joe, I don't know if there's any calls or IMs in yet coming.
Should we mention the phone line number today?
Yeah, why don't you? There may be some calls.
All right. If anybody wants to go ahead and call in and ask any questions or comments, 480-745-1033, and go ahead and call us, and you can go on air, or you can relay a message to me, and we'll get that question out there.
Perfect. Gabby, did you weight? Was weight an issue for you? Did you gain weight, lose weight? Was that something that...
I gained weight. I gained 15 pounds, and I remember after my first treatment, I would not stop eating. I was so hungry, and I think that was from the steroids.
From the steroids,
And so I called my nurse, and I said, I can't stop eating. Is this normal? And she said, honey, eat all you want. And so I did, a lot. I kind of compared it to when I was pregnant. I was just really hungry, and I was craving certain foods, and so I just ate. So I did gain about 15 pounds, but,
Wow.
It wasn't that big of a deal.
Tell me, you lost all of your hair, right?
Yes.
And it's come in, and I know from patients that I've had that their hair oftentimes comes in better, thicker, beautiful. In your case, can you say that? What can you speak to that?
When I cut my hair short before I lost it.
Okay.
And my hairdresser came over my house, and just with close friends and family, we shaved my head, and it came back really thick and curly. My hair was not curly before.
It wasn't curly. That's what I was wondering, because you have beautiful, wavy, curly hair.
Thank you. A senior couple had stopped me at the zoo and asked if I had a perm. It was really
cute. Are you
cute.
serious?
Yeah. But no, it was not curly before, and I've been dyeing my hair since junior high, so I honestly really don't know what my original color is, but this is, I think, pretty close to it. But it did come back a lot different than what it was.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's neat. Now, just getting back to, did they give you any insight into maybe what caused this? Being that you have a negative family history, any exposures, anything? Did you ever work around chemicals or anything like that?
Nope. I grew up in New York, in Staten Island, actually, and we have the famous Staten Island dump. And so that was questionable of how long I lived there and whatnot. So they did do some, questionnaire on that.
Right.
And then my dad was in the Vietnam, and so we kind of discussed that a little bit. But for the most part, there was nothing that...
that they were able to put their finger on. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So did you have a caller there?
I do. We actually have a couple of questions here. Linda from Mesa said she found a lump 9 years ago in her left breast. Never have had it checked. It's the size of a large grape. It doesn't hurt, and it's never gotten bigger. What should she do?
Well, let me just say, first of all, DocTalk Radio, this is mainly informational only. So, I really can't diagnose over the phone, over the radio. However, anytime I hear that, my recommendation is to see your doctor. And if you've not, Linda, had a mammogram, that would be the first step, to get a mammogram and an ultrasound to make sure. And I'm sure, Gabby and Michelle, I think that you would absolutely agree that awareness, making sure that we're aware mammograms be done in a timely manner, those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
Now, at 31, you never had a mammogram. When was your first mammogram?
At
the time.
time.
At that time. So
Because
you
typically
never,
insurance doesn't cover it until you're 40 plus.
Exactly.
What's your name, ma'am?
So when I went to Smile Imaging,
Right.
Thankfully for them it was 30 plus.
Okay.
And so because I was 31, I originally went in for an ultrasound, but they said, let's do a mammogram first. So that was my first mammogram.
Ever. Now, I want to talk about, I know there's a caller here that we'll talk to in a minute. After the caller, I want to talk about, I know you said you didn't have insurance, and I want you to kind of share with us how you got through this, because I'm sure that's a story in and of itself.
That is a story.
Yeah.
And, my community,
Wow.
my hairdresser went ahead and put on a fundraiser. My American Family Insurance agent put
Really?
on.
Let's hold that thought. I
Okay.
want to hear more about that. We have a call right now, though.
We have Lizette from Florence calling in.
Lizette, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for calling in. Did you have a question or a comment?
I actually, I don't have a question or a comment. I am Gabby's sister.
Oh, wow.
And, yes, and I'm actually watching you guys right now, and I am just very touched and excited that my sister has the opportunity to talk about this, because she has been a huge inspiration to so many. And to watch her go through this and to see where she is today is just amazing.
That's huge.
And
You gave me
I'm
chills.
blessed to have her.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead, Lizette. What were you saying? Did she hang up?
Well, I just love her, and I know tons of other people love her too, and I just want everyone to really be touched and inspired by her, because she's been there and gone through so much, and she's gone through it. With the glory of God, she has gotten through it.
Wow. Thank you so much for calling. I got to tell you, I have goosebumps all over my body. So that's
She's awesome.
That's so great that you called in, Lizette. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank
Well,
you.
it was nice talking to you guys.
Wow. Is it your older sister? Or?
I have an older sister and older brother. And my sister was there from the very beginning. So
Probably there when you weren't there. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? I mean, there were times when you checked out, I'm sure, and the anxiety and the stress that the family has. I'm sure that the walk that Lizette, and Corey have gone through is probably...
And a lot of times they went through it together, and I was just, I was just the patient.
You were just there.
And she was a great aunt to my kids, and still is. But, those 2 years were a great bonding time for all of us, and my mom, and there's just so many people that have been a part of my journey.
It's a blessed journey. I mean,
it really
it's
is.
Very, very obvious. Wow. He's taking a call. Let's just get back to finish talking about just getting through it and the support that you had.
Well, as far as insurance and whatnot, we had one program through Chandler that helped us with, doctor's visits and chemotherapy, but everything else was pretty much raised by the community and donations. There were times that we just were putting so much of our own money out, and with me not working, we didn't have it to pay for medical bills, and we do not have any medical debt. And with no insurance, it's just, that is all God, and I believe that everyone was the hands and feet of God through that.
Wow.
And the amount of fundraisers and just donations from people I never met, and just giving, sending cards, and you were on my mind this week,
amazing.
or one of my friends from a long time ago, I haven't talked to her in years, and all of a sudden I got this card, and there was $400 in there, maybe if not more, and she said, I worked extra overtime this week because I wanted you to be able to have treatment.
How about that?
And so that's how I got through it.
Wow. I know you blogged. We were talking about your blog. And I know we're going to be kind of wrapping up this segment here in a little bit. Tell us about the blog. I know you named the blog My Lump and I. That's neat.
Yep. The day after I was diagnosed, I had a just spurt of energy, and I said, I know breast cancer is pink ribbons and whatnot, but I'm going to mix, purple is my favorite color. So I said, I'm going to mix the two, And I'm going to start a blog, and I'm going to name it My Lump and I, and I'm going to put purple stuff on there, and I'm just going to tell everybody how I feel. Because I was posting everything on Facebook, and I was getting all these responses, but I needed an outlet to just really talk about what I was going through, and I wanted to be able to one day be there for somebody else that was going through the same thing. And so I've been blogging from the very beginning. I have my final PET scan in June, and once I have that, that will be my final post of, you know, what the doctors say, NED, no evidence of disease.
Absolutely.
And then I will post that, and then I'm going to print it out and create a book for my family and just have that, you know, for us to look back on. But
that's neat.
That was really a great outlet for me.
I mean, you literally through every day.
Every day.
You entered something, and when you were under anesthetic and surgery, you had your husband do it, or your family,
sister.
or your sister.
Yep.
Was that? Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's really neat. Joe,
We've got about a half a dozen questions. Can we address them real quick?
Yeah, let's address them.
All right.
And then
All right. First one. Watch the movie Forks Over Knives first years, and can't help wondering if you took any extreme approaches.
As far as treatment?
I haven't seen Forks Over Knives.
I haven't
you seen
either.
it? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I don't think I went to the extreme.
All right. If you want to throw something back up on there, whoever wrote that, and then we'll go ahead and readdress that question. Let's see. How often do you go for a checkup here on out?
Right now, I will check in with my oncologist every 2 months. And then I will have my first PET scan, like I said, in June, and then every 6 months thereafter, and then check in with her for every 2 months for the first year, and then after that it will go out to 6 months, and then I believe after that is yearly.
And then right.
Let's see. Steve D. Hi, Gabby. Did you eat Sonic Slushes when you were going through this?
Of course I did. Yep. Happy hour.
Let's see. What is your favorite New Testament verse, Gabby?
Oh, gosh. My favorite New Testament verse. I'll put it on the spot here. I have to think about that for a second. I have to
All right, we'll table that. We'll get back to that
yes.
one. And then the Rabid Walrus would like to know.
That's one of my very good friends.
What would she recommend for others to get through the trials of breast cancer?
That's a great question to kind of wrap this up.
That is a great question. I think support. I think first and foremost we need to remember that God isn't doing this to us. A lot of times we go to anger and we go to frustration. And I think that's normal. I think we all can get to that point. But coming back around to how can him and I work through this together? What can I pull from him to get through these trials? What do I need? You know, do I need wisdom for the doctors? Do I, you know, I really prayed hard for my doctors and just to have wisdom to know who was going to be the best one. And God gave me that wisdom. So I really think that God needs to be first and foremost. We need to ask him what we should do first. And then I think that support around you, they're there to guide you through that. And give you the support that you need. But for me personally, that, you know, God was everything. You know, He helped me through every moment that I felt worthless. And, you know, there was times that I was on my knees begging Him, you know, to please free me from this, or why was I having to go through this? Right. And it was at that moment that He just reminded me that He's with me. He's holding me. He's weeping with me. And that was really a big moment for me. Wow.
That's huge.
Yep.
You know, as a medical doc, we're just going to wrap up this little segment. I believe that that we need to minister not only to the physical body, emotionally, but also spiritually. Yep. And so there are times when we pray with our patients, and, you know, I don't think it's done enough. Yep. I really don't. But for you saying it, I think that's really, that's huge, because I think more patients out there, you know, require that, need that. And so that's really great for you to say that boldly, to stand firm. Yep. You know, and not waver from that. Right. Yeah, that's really good. Joe, just a few more. And then
last question here. Okay. Cynthia from the Tacoma Women's Cancer Centers said, please, listeners and people, you know, observing the show, check all lumps or anything that is irregular immediately. There's usually no problem. Don't live with the fear. And loves your show.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's true. I think we want to leave people with...
Is that an affiliation with you, or...?
No, not at all. So that's really neat. Yeah.
Right on.
Very cool.
And I think we want to leave people with, hope. Not to live in fear, but to take a stance for health and wellness and vitality. I mean, you're the picture of health. That's really what we want to be in.
Right.
With that, is there anything else you want to close with or say?
You know what? I want to close with what my favorite verse is. I have very many, and so it's really hard for me to pick, but this might sound cliche, but I'm going to go with John 3:16 that we see so often. But the reason why I go with that is that's the gift that God gave us. And for me, it was... I wanted to honor him, and I wanted to honor that, and I needed to understand this is what he did for me, and if he can do this, then why can he not give me the strength and the courage and the wisdom that I needed? So that really helped me with any doubt that I had.
How awesome. How awesome. Let's take a break. And Gabby, before we do that, I just want to thank you. I really, really want to thank you for being here. You have, I think, taken our show to a higher level, without a doubt.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Are you ready to start taking control of your future and maximize your earning potential? Central Arizona College has smaller class sizes and personalized attention to help you compete in today's tough job market. CAC now serves Santan Valley and Queen Creek. The CAC Santan Center is located in the shops at Copper Basin on Hunt Highway, behind Barrow's Pizza. Stop in and see how taking classes at CAC costs a fraction of a state university, and your credits can transfer. So, if you want to earn real money, you need to learn real skills at Central Arizona College. Enroll in classes today by calling 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu or call 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu. Central Arizona College, your way. Hi, Marie here for wannasing.com. Are you looking for professional DJ or karaoke services for your next holiday party or get-together? wannasing.com can provide the best in sound, lighting, and a professional MC to host your next event. Whether it be a company party, birthday party, wedding, or any occasion, wannasing.com is ready to provide the fun and make it a night to remember for years to come. Call 480-664-8801. That's 480-664-8801. Mention this radio ad and receive a special discount for your next fun event. wannasing.com.
Welcome back to DocTalk Radio. Well, we just swapped chairs, and we have our second guest that I want to introduce, Michelle Madrid. Actually, I work with Michelle at the hospital. She's a charge nurse at Gilbert Hospital, and you have a story that I really want to share. I think that you have a phenomenal story as well. A survivor 2 times of breast cancer.
Yes.
And I'm going to let you talk, Michelle. Why don't you just kind of start from the beginning? You were what, 19 when you were diagnosed?
I was 19 the first time I was diagnosed. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, really wasn't diagnosed then. I had a lump removed. That time I was very flat-chested. So now everybody knows that.
Okay.
So I had a lump in my left breast, and we had that taken out. Mm-hmm. And it was benign, but they gave me 2 weeks of oral chemotherapy just to be safe.
Okay.
My grandma had just passed away, and she passed away of breast cancer, so I think they were just being overly cautious.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
My next diagnosis, I was 35. I was in nursing school, going back from my LVN to my RN, and I got my diagnosis the first day of clinicals.
Oh, wow.
I got the call at 7:30 in the morning from the doctor. So that was a huge blow, because I was like, well, do I finish my day? Do I quit school? And then I cried. I, literally slid down the wall in the hall. I was at Mesa General Hospital.
Really?
Slid down the hall, stood there and cried. My instructor came out. She said she knew something was wrong. And so with that, I had my very first, chemotherapy and radiation. Mm-hmm. I did a partial mastectomy. That was on the right side. And then did 35 treatments of radiation and went along with my life. I did gain a lot of weight. I gained about 80 pounds.
Wow.
Yes, I was a complete different person.
Was it because you were hungry? I mean, were you just eating a lot?
No, it was from the steroids.
Okay.
Yeah, I was fine. And then just a month later, I was like, oh, my God, who is this person? I had moon syndrome.
80 pounds in a month?
No, over probably about 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went from about 125 to almost 200 some pounds. Wow. That was completely different. So I got through all that, and then into November of 2010, I got re-diagnosed. I felt a lump on the side, you know, where your bra kind of has that ridge on the side. Kind of had an itching, and I was like, what is that? So I did call the doctor, and they did a scan, because I had already had a history, so I went straight in for a CAT scan. And they found a lump and called me right away.
Wow.
I kept that quiet. My mom was finishing RN school, so I decided to keep it quiet because I wanted her to pass her boards and not be worried about me.
Wow, that must have been very difficult.
That was hard because the year before, well, same year at the beginning of the year, I did lose my husband to cancer. So that was really hard. So I kind of internalized it, and that's kind of how I decided to deal with it. Just keep it quiet. You know, my family had been through so much turmoil and devastation and tragedy already. And then to hear me come home and say, oh, I'm diagnosed again, I just thought my kids were probably going to lose their mind. So my mom took her boards, and I told her the night after she took them, okay, I'm going in for surgery tomorrow. And she kind of just gave me a look. You remember that?
I remember because she was at the hospital.
Yes.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So I decided I was being treated at Mayo, and I was going back and forth between Mayo and Ironwood Cancer Center in Chandler, and then over off at Mercy, because I just didn't know what to do. So my very first doctor was a younger doctor in 2007, and I thought, well, I'll go with a younger doctor because they just got out of school and it's new. And I did find out that if you go on tamoxifen, for my case, after breast cancer, you have a higher incidence of it coming back. So if you just have radiation and radiation and partial mastectomy followed with tamoxifen being positive, the HR positive, your rate goes up in certain cases. So I think that's why mine came back. So at that point, I decided to have a bilateral mastectomy complete.
Right.
So that's what I did. I'm so glad I did it. I wish I would have done it. Everybody listening, if you have a problem, go have a mastectomy, and you get new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously there's different options, and
Yes.
yeah, but for you, that's what really worked for you.
It worked for me.
Wow.
That's huge. I mean, that what you've been through. I want to get back to, you know, being able to keep that, internalize it. How do you get through that? I mean, you know, is prayer something? Did you go out and exercise? Did you eat more? Did you drink? I mean, what was your crutch? What got you through that?
I actually started crocheting blankets, as crazy as that sounds. My doctor, I was stage 2 on the right, stage 3 on the left. So I didn't know. They told me, and my mom's probably going to kill me, but they told me I probably wouldn't be here for Christmas. So I went to chemo by myself because I had to go to the same place that my husband had went to. And so that was hard. So I just crocheted, and I decided if I was going to not make it, I was going to leave everybody with a blanket that they could have forever.
Wow.
So that's how I got through it. And I met these people that become your family while you're there. I sat next to a gentleman that my friend Sandy will know who he is. But I taught him how to crochet.
How neat is that?
So he was there for colon cancer, having chemotherapy, and he knitted his wife of 52 years a blanket and gave it to her on his graduation day from chemo.
Wow.
So that, to me, I was
neat.
helping him.
Yes.
So I didn't feel like I needed, you know, I wanted my mom and my sister, and I got remarried. I wanted my husband there for my kids.
Right.
Because I wanted my kids to see sometimes we get bad stuff.
Right.
We don't understand why. We don't know the route. We don't understand at that point, but we can make it through anything if you have the man upstairs with you.
Yeah, if you have the faith.
Yes.
Wow. So faith for you brought you through as well?
I prayed a lot. I was sick a lot, so I laid on the floor in the bathroom. I did a lot of throwing up. I had a lot of diarrhea. I had the complete opposite of Gabby. I did not crave anything. I didn't want to eat anything. I lost 22 pounds. That was what I had to go through.
Wow.
But I'm here today.
You look awesome. And you
lost
feel
all
great.
my hair.
You did, and I mean, I remember
Coming back.
we were together working through that.
Yes.
And it's coming back stronger and better and
thicker.
Thicker.
It's dark.
Looks nice.
Thank you.
Wow.
Came back that old man color. No offense to anybody. That kind of mousy brown with the gray in it. So I did have my sister color it.
Nice.
But
You know what? I got to tell you, Michelle makes me laugh. There's a joy that I see when I see you, and it's just I can't help but smile. So that's kind of neat. You have a question?
Yeah, right when we changed segments, we got a call from Judy, and since you mentioned Mayo Clinic, she was from Mayo Clinic, said you're a great lady, and in great hands with Dr. Borik and the Gilbert ER Hospital. Also said she really enjoys watching the show each week.
Very nice. Thank you, Judy, for calling. That's great. Any other comments or questions before we get back into a conversation?
Nope, we're good right now.
So where are we at now in terms of your journey?
In terms of my journey, okay, so I did just have another chemo shot, just a tiny little booster shot just to keep my levels up. I'll do a PET scan in July. Okay. And at that point, she hopes that she can give me the all clear.
Excellent.
So
excellent. Michelle, what are you doing now in your time? I know we were talking about you have a business, or you're starting a company or a practice. Why don't you share with that? I don't know what to call it, and maybe you can help shed light.
I have a side business. It's called Permanent Reflections.
Permanent Reflections.
Yes.
Okay.
I gave it that name because we're reflecting on everybody else, and being a nurse for as long as we've all been in the medical field, I just thought that would be good.
That's a great name.
Thank you. So all the patients that go through mastectomies, you have usually your nipples cut off, all your skin is cut off. So remember the little white sock puppets we used to play with kids? So basically your breasts look like that. It looks like this. It has no face. So I go in and just over those scars, because that's all you see when you're in the mirror, is you just see you're mangled. You've got a scar left, right, up, down. It depends on everything you had to have done, but that is what a woman focuses on. And face it. Boys or girls, when they're born, they have little areolas there. Even, kittens, dogs, everybody has them. So I go in and re-tattoo those on for those patients. And I've been doing that for a long time.
So you've been doing kind of cosmetic tattooing?
It's called paramedical areola tattooing, yes.
What about makeup? Is there, because I know that there's some
I've done
cosmetic.
Yeah, I do cosmetic makeup too.
Wow. So that's kind of neat. I mean, you never have to put eyeliner or lipstick again, right?
I have a breast surgeon, two actually. One in Scottsdale, one in Chandler, Dr. Finkel for sure. They both send me their patients because when you go through chemo, you lose your eyelashes, you lose some people.
Right, not everybody.
Eyelashes, eyebrows, all facial hair, arm hair. And so a lot of those ladies want their eyebrows, even though you feel disfigured.
Sure.
You feel, depending on who you are, you could feel very... just like who am I?
Yeah,
when you look in the mirror.
Different.
So you can tattoo on their eyebrows. You can do their eyelash enhancement. So when they wake up, they still have some color and kind of look normal.
More bright.
You can do some lip colors on their lips. You can fade it in, do a bright liner, dark liner, whatever they want. Wow. I have lots of people that come to me after for the areola retattooing.
I have a question.
What is it?
So, when you get the surgery done,
yes,
your nipples are gone.
Correct.
Yes.
They don't put new nipples back on?
No, because there's...
Even when you get implants?
Even when you get implants.
They don't...
No, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's the skin, and it's removed. The entire breast is removed.
Entire breast. Because you don't want to leave those cells underneath there, because those cells can still go in your bloodstream.
I'm surprised they don't have a prosthetic type of nipple that's, like, real.
Yeah,
I mean, that's awesome that you're...
Yeah. No.
It's interesting because before the show, I think Gabby has your card or had your card.
She met my husband at the other hospital. Actually, I think your husband at Corey did, right? And she
Isn't it's a very small world.
Wow.
What, in terms of, is it safe to do that?
Yes, your doctor usually will. Those doctors wait about 3 months after mastectomy and after you're all done with treatment, and then they'll give me a call.
It's not going to show up for mammography, for PET scanning down the road. It's not an issue that would...
Not at all.
Okay. Okay.
And you do this for you to look at. I mean, that's it.
We do it for the woman to look at, because
Gotcha.
when they're looking in the mirror, you're camouflaging those scars.
And don't get me wrong here. They look pretty real. I'm not asking you to show them. I didn't want you to think that.
Yes. I have a website. You can check it out if you want.
What is your website, Michelle?
It's permanent-reflections with an S.com.
Excellent.
And you have to go in on the left-hand side and hit the home refresh button, and then information, pictures.
Right. Let me ask you, did you embrace any of the alternative, integrative type of modalities at all? In terms of, some people will go strictly become vegetarians, or juicing, as Joe was saying before.
I did start juicing fresh vegetables and fruits. We went to Costco and we got one of those juice mixers. I don't remember what it's called. But we did like fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, a lot of that.
The Vitamix.
No, it wasn't a Vitamix. It's called something different.
Gotcha.
Cuisinart or something.
Okay. But you didn't like see a naturopath and decide to go that route.
I did see a naturopath.
Did you? Okay.
I did. I did not. I did order some stuff, but I did talk to the oncologist, and she asked me.
And it was integrated.
Asked me to wait until I was more done.
Okay.
With treatment.
And that's what you did.
That's what I've done.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what you've done. Okay, that's good.
I did cut out all red meat.
That's the other question I was going to ask.
All red meat.
Even now, did you do that on your own, or did your doctor recommend that?
I went to a nutrition class up at Mayo, and they told me no red meat, no soy, no white bread. My favorite, no Splenda.
Mm-hmm.
All those extra, additives that how they go in and change things.
Right.
Because I was 2-time
Right, because
major
you had
survivor.
to recur.
Because I had the 2 different stages, stage 2 and stage 3. They absolutely said nothing that's been
Yeah, that's really interesting for our listeners to know. Anything else other than, how about NutraSweet? I mean, is that?
No,
They
want
didn't
you to
mention
have
it. None of
sugar
that.
in the raw, just regular sugar, nothing. Cut out the caffeine. I am a huge Starbucks drinker, so I had to cut out caffeine, cut out the coffee, and I love more coffee, more cream with my coffee.
Right.
So that was hard to do.
Wow.
I do sneak a little bit of coffee once in a while, but nothing like. I work night shift, so that's all we did was drink coffee.
Drink
to
coffee.
stay awake.
Yeah.
Pots and pots.
Any energy drinks? Anything?
No energy drinks.
Okay.
No 5 hours. Any of that adrenaline pumping stuff. None for me.
Perfect. Exercise. Was there a prescription for exercise for you?
I had I had the
lymphedema.
lymph node. Yes, I had
Okay.
lymphedema in my arm. So no, I haven't done any exercise other than just running around being a mom.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. I want you to just share with the listeners what is lymphedema. And I can give a little bit of, when your lymph nodes are taken out, basically there's no lymph node for, venous return, and swelling can occur. It's called third spacing. Sometimes
Right.
swelling can occur in the tissue, particularly in people who have had a mastectomy or even if just a lumpectomy with axillary dissection, that can happen. It doesn't happen to everybody. But in your case, you did develop lymphedema.
I did, and it got so bad I had to go have it drained up in Scottsdale.
Did you really?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, it was horrible bruises.
Wow.
And I still have to wear compression stocking.
So you do wear a compression stocking even now?
Yeah, it's on right now.
It's on now. Okay.
I
Okay.
didn't wear it for a couple months, and then my arm started to swell truthfully, about 2 weeks ago. So I put it back on about 4 days ago now.
Okay. And I think probably as it gets hotter, as the
Yes,
heat,
'cause
that's
I
probably
called my
gonna-
doctor and asked.
Yeah, I'm sure that that's not a sign of anything. It's just the environment. It's just the time.
Right.
You
And
know.
I was very concerned when I got that the first time, but I've learned that it's the luck of the draw. Some are going to get it. Some won't get it for 10, 20 years, and then you might get it. Gabby, if you get it, don't be afraid.
Right.
It's just the luck of the draw.
Right.
It's just it's whatever your
Usually,
body's
though,
going through.
we find that if you are going to get it, it happens fairly, sooner rather than later. But you never know. There's no way.
That's what they told me.
There's
You
no
never
way
know.
to tell.
They said people are 10 years out, mastectomy, and then had lymph node, dissection or anything like that, and it can just develop.
Right. Wow.
But they don't tell you that when you're going through treatment. There's so much they don't tell you.
Right. And that's a problem, I think. And I think that's dependent on the physician that you have and, just the whole staff and all of that kind of stuff.
And how much I think they perceive that you can handle at that time. A lot of it, I think,
That's
is
a
they're
good
just
point.
trying to get you through A to get you to B to get you to C.
Very good point. Yep.
If they overwhelmed all of us with everything, we would all just probably run and hide. That's
Right.
human nature.
Right. Right. Or you wouldn't remember it. You know what I mean?
You're
It
not
just
gonna
wouldn't.
remember.
Yeah, it wouldn't go in. That's interesting. Music. We talked to Gabby about music. Tell me, did you find that music was healing for you, or was it more noise that you wanted to keep out? Or
I listened to the same song. It's by Kenny G. I don't even know the name of it. It's one of his old saxophone songs. That's about it. Other than that, I was always in the bathroom sick. So
Wow.
I was laying on the floor, and my house was pretty quiet.
The reason I asked that, I'm just going to kind of throw this out. There was a study that came out probably within the last year about vibrational sound. When you as the singer, and I'm not a singer, and but if you sing or chant or hum, there's something where the vibration in your body where cancer cells can't survive.
Right. I've heard that.
Have you heard that? And that's why I asked that. It's interesting to kind of think about that, because there's a lot of things that as created, that God gives us the
Right.
ability to do that, that may work in alignment with healing.
The only thing that changed for me is this is crazy because I love music, but I did start listening. I think my kids probably do not like me right now. Instrumental music.
Nice.
You know, I would get out of the shower and I'd have it on and they'd be like, Mom, really? And I'm like, sorry. To me, that's a huge change that I went through.
And that may be something where, we know studies show that soft music, Mozart-like, the 6-beat, tends to quiet the chatter in the brain.
Yes.
And that may be what you're doing subliminally, not even knowing it, but that's what you're sensing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's good. Joe, did you have a...
Nope.
Oh, okay. I thought you were waving me down. That's interesting. Anything else, Michelle, that you want to kind of share with us before we go on, that you can think about? Okay. In terms of your weight, are you back to your baseline weight now, or where are you at with
that? I lost 22 pounds, so I think I'm still down 12.
Okay, so yeah, you feel good, you look good. It's always good to, your docs, I'm sure, saying you want to exercise and keep your weight down.
I was just like Gabby. I'm going to go start running.
And they said, no, calm down.
I'm too tired. They're like, you need to relax, take it slow, start walking. I'm still really tired. But they said that will all come back. And because you've gone through so much treatment for so long, and I ended up with 5 surgeries in last year.
Wow.
They just said it will take at least a year or longer to get all your stamina back.
To get your stamina back. Right. And you start slow.
Start slow.
One step. Now, do you blog or do you journal? What is your outlet from that perspective?
I don't blog. I didn't do that. I did write things down as they affected me. A lot of it is on my phone. I would just type myself notes. I'm feeling like this. And I had little kids and we'd already been through so much. I always had my poker face on. I tried to be good in front of them because I felt like I didn't want to have them worry. If I'm crying, my daughters are crying with me. Right. And then my son gets real closed up and he starts crying. So, and then, I wanted to be good in front of Steve too. And my mom.
How old are your kids?
My son is 16, my daughter is 9, and my other daughter is 7.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, question, Joe.
And we may have answered some of these already. Let's see, this is from Stormy. What do you do to stay calm during the tough times?
That's a good question.
I think I go inside my brain and think if God's bringing me through this tunnel, if you want to call it, there's got to be a light at the other side. And I look at my kids' eyes and I'm not going down without a fight. And so I think I'm a fighter.
And that's what pulls you out.
Yep.
Yeah, we definitely have some interest in some questions about the pricing of the tattooing.
Okay.
Good. You want to maybe comment on that at all?
And maybe the website again, because I looked and couldn't find it.
It's permanent-reflections.
That's what I did wrong. Permanent-reflections.com.
And it's the one out of Queen Creek. There's a couple other names that come up, but I'm out of Queen Creek.
Okay, good. It's not covered under insurance or anything like that, or is it?
There is a Women's Act out there. I think it went into business. Went in 1998 for cancer survivors. Usually, you have to pay, and then you can ask your insurance to reimburse.
To get it reimbursed.
But there is an act out there for all breast cancer people. If you do not know about it, your doctor didn't tell you, look it up. It's called the Women's Health and Rights Act.
Women's Health and Right Act. That's great information. I'd like to put that on the website.
That really is good information.
Yeah, it's in my...
Okay, we'll get it. Maybe we can get it at the end after.
My mother is a breast cancer survivor.
So is mine.
No. Small world.
Yeah. Wow.
There's also, have you heard of Casting for Recovery?
Yeah, tell me about that. I don't know.
That is a thing that they do twice a year out here. They choose 12.
Tell me about that.
Okay,
yeah.
So I don't know too much about it because I just got chosen to go. So it's twice a year.
Okay.
They take 12 people. You have to write in a little blurb on why you think you should be chosen. It's completely paid for. It's women of either just diagnosed, going through, or up to a little while out, depending on what their guidelines are. Right now, they were choosing for a year. But you get to go up with different women and doctors and support groups, and basically you're casting, you fly fishing with all these other women for the whole entire weekend.
Oh, really?
You should check that out, Gabby.
So casting is not when you say casting, I was thinking casting for like a play or something.
No, it's castingforrecovery.org.
So it's a fishing.
Yes, it's a fishing
outing.
thing, and they teach you how to do the fly fishing. It's just supposed to be very healing.
Oh, how neat!
So I was not chosen. I was chosen an alternate, and then I got a call. Actually, my boss got it last Friday, and she called me and said
that you were chosen.
Yeah, you need to go. So.
Oh, that's neat.
That's huge.
Where is that? Where do they go?
Whispering Pines.
Oh, Whispering Pines. Okay.
Whispering Pines Resort. It's up towards Jolo somewhere.
Oh, that sounds really.
And it's twice a year, May, and I think I don't want to quote because I'm not 100% sure.
Wow. It's interesting. Have you ever been or heard of Maryvale? It's a resort down toward Tucson.
Yes.
And I think that Oprah Winfrey, that was one of her favorite places. She mentioned that. But I had an opportunity to do a retreat down there, lead a retreat for a whole group of cancer survivors and their caregivers. And it was kind of similar. They were chosen,
Yes.
to come and partake in this weekend. And what I did was basically, bring the Saint Chido program, the Art of Moving Prayer, which, Gabby, if you don't know what that is, it incorporates breathing and movement and exercise with sign, gesture, and music.
Yes.
And so it's really kind of a healing kind of a
Therapy.
thing. It's a therapeutic.
Yes, because you do it
Yeah.
at Gilbert. It's
Yeah.
good.
So same thing. I think maybe it's the whole casting for recovery
Yeah.
process. That's interesting. Joe.
Comment. I'm surprised that survivors are not told to avoid sugar at all costs, being that sugar is supposed to be directly related to acidic levels that cause disease.
You are told to cut out your sugars.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Sugar, because cancer fights, sugar is like the main food source.
Right. I think that the medical community doesn't do enough, in part in terms of nutrition and really regulating it and recommending it.
Right.
I mean, we can say, oh, by the way, Michelle, cut out sugar. That's one way of saying it. The other way is saying, there's a prescription
Give some
written. You are
examples.
absolutely not to
Yes.
have sugar in your diet. So, and I don't think that we as the medical community, oncologists, surgeons, medical docs, really put
I don't
enough
think they
gusto
realize
behind
how
it.
much sugar is in food.
I don't think
Your
so.
Fruits, there's lots of natural sugar in your fruits.
Those are
There's
even
a lot
bad
of sugar.
sugars?
Well, there's studies in natural sugars. The fructose is good, actually.
Right.
So
it just depends. Any additives, though, they do
Gotcha.
tell you that.
right, preservatives, additives is not good. And the other thing is, even my colleagues, myself, we're not really trained in nutrition. We only get, one class. So I think that's a lacking piece of it. That's why I asked you about if you've seen any alternative, integrative.
They tell
kind
you
of-
to eat a lot of leafy green vegetables, so spinach, broccoli, kale, cabbage.
Absolutely.
Not just iceberg lettuce. It has to be like good romaine.
And the reason is because of the antioxidant.
Sweet potatoes
Yeah.
are big. They want you to have that. I craved sweet potatoes. That's one thing I did crave.
That's great. Wow, that's good.
Michelle, do you feel that you have gone through this whole ordeal so you can help others?
I think that's why I'm here. Still standing. I do. Call myself a pink warrior.
That's neat. We have our pink warrior and a purple soldier for Christ. That's awesome.
There you go.
We only have a couple minutes left. Let's just wrap it up. And I think just on that last comment, why don't you speak to that? That's why you think you're here.
I think I'm here to help other women go through what I've gone through.
And so what are you going to do about that? Do you have plans to...
I have plans to write a book with your help, of course.
Okay. All right. Good.
I have outlined all my chapters, and I'm still kind of kicking around a name. But I'll get it written and get it out there just to educate and kind of calm people down and give them the information that we don't get at the doctor's office right away.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of denial, bargaining, acceptance. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have other outlets. They're not going to tell you that you're going to need a mastectomy bra after all this. What the heck is that? Where can you get that? I'll have all that in there for you guys.
That's great. Wow. With that, I want to thank you. Michelle, thank you so much for coming. Gabby, thank you for being here. Corey, thank you for being here and being with Gabby. And that wraps up the show. So tune in every week, 1 o'clock, Wednesdays, 1 o'clock Arizona time. 2 websites. We either have kqcklive.com or DocTalkRadio.com. And on the DocTalk Radio is where we're going to have all the excerpts of our shows on our YouTube channel. And then just 5 minutes before the show, there's a live stream on DocTalk Radio. So check it out. And if you like us, go on to our Facebook page, Joe, right? And
Absolutely.
Like us. We're up to what, 1,400 already?
I just looked, it was 1405.
Wow.
Oh, we
Wow,
went up
that's
since we
neat.
started our
We
show.
we went up
Very
since,
nice.
yes. Well, that's great. Thank you. That completes our show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes Doc Talk Radio with Dr. Ann Borik. Till next time, I wish you health, wellness, and many blessings.
DocTalk Radio is brought to you by Gilbert Hospital and Florence and Anthem Hospitals. Topics discussed are for informational and not intended to substitute advice from your personal physician.